Welcome to another edition of Through the Fire and the SBN Small Business Network podcast. I am your host, Ryan Wickline, and today I am joined with guest Alyssa Wolf, who is a time management expert, coach, and podcaster. How you doing today, Alyssa?
Great. Thank you, Ryan. How about you?
I'm doing amazing. So tell us, who is Alyssa Wolf?
Well, first and foremost, mom of 5 kids. And then, as you said, yes, podcaster, time management expert. I just love all things organization and helping you fit all the different pieces of your schedule into your work from home day. So I specifically work with business mothers on doing that.
That's amazing. So I did see on another podcast that you homeschooled all your children.
Yes, that's quite correct.
How does that work with dividing up your time and especially with time management?
Another fun question. So my youngest isn't technically in school yet. She's kind of on that kindergarten, not kindergarten cusp. So I don't count that precisely as full-on homeschooling. And then I also have 2 high schoolers. And in high school, I teach them to be very independent and self-guided, self-directed, because they're prepping for college. So they need to be knowing like which courses to do, which assignments, which lessons, which quizzes. Like they need to be having the responsibility for that so they can handle it in college. So that leaves me with only like the elementary and middle schoolers. So I've got 2 of those, 30 minutes for each kid, an hour a day, boom, I'm done.
That's pretty amazing. I mean, I don't know how you are able to juggle all that in your schedule and still run a business.
Well, if it's only an hour out from a day and you can work, 4 hours in your business, I mean, that's really not bad.
Yeah. So what is the name of your business?
Unbusy.
Unbusy? Awesome. It kind of goes along with everything with time management and everything too. So
Yes.
What inspired you to become a coach and get into this line of work?
I always wanted to do something to give back, make an impact on the world, like ever since I was 16. But I simply assumed I would go to college, find this career that would do that for me, and that isn't the way it worked out. So I ended up finishing college, getting married, and having all those 5 kids in 10 years, and still wondering, like, what's this purpose thing? When is it going to show up for me? How in the world am I going to find something that fits with my life? Because now I'm a stay-at-home mother. And 5 years ago, January 2020, right before we knew the world was about to change, I heard a podcaster talking about online business. It's like, I have no idea where I've been. I've been living under a rock. This is what is going to do it for me. If I have an online business, I can stay home, homeschool the kids, because my youngest was, 6 months old at the time, and I can still change other women's lives. I bet I could do something to do with productivity and time management, de-stress them. Like, do I want to start now with a 6-month-old and 4 older kids, or do I want to wait till I'm in my 50s and I'm an empty nester? Okay, I think I would rather start now than wait another bazillion years.
That's amazing how you were just like kind of led to that purpose in life. So, did you go to school for anything to deal with, like to learn time management skills, or did you just kind of have to learn on the fly with all the children taking care of your home?
That has actually been something I've always been naturally gifted in. So I leveled up with each new kid we had, but it was already a strong suit.
Okay. If you don't mind me asking, what was your degree in?
I started in elementary education, and that's kind of how I got off of the degree path, is I was like, I cannot handle being in front of a teacher and 30 kids in a class. I'm meant for small groups and individuals. So, coaching. So I ended up switching to interdisciplinary, which I describe as being like getting 3 minors. So I did whatever sounded interesting to me that I could graduate from that university the fastest, which turned out to be Bible, psychology, and cross-cultural.
That's an interesting mixture of things.
Yes.
So what kind of service do you provide? Like coaching services do you provide?
So right now I'm doing kind of a done-for-you service blend, though I still have the coaching as well, where I'm creating the daily and weekly schedules for mothers who are working from home, probably with a business. And then you need a delegation list for your housekeeping, the family stuff. You probably need a delegation outsourcing list in your business. Like there's all kinds of time management things that go way beyond get up at 5 a.m. and start crossing things off your to-do list.
Yeah, I can see that. So what's maybe like the biggest challenge that you see that these mothers are facing?
That's probably the basic one, right? There isn't enough time. I agree. You cannot do it all. You're going to have to start dropping some things, whether that's dropping some of the activities you've been driving your kids to, whether that's dropping some of the housework and having your kids do it for you or hiring it out. Like you cannot hold to this societal expectation that you will be the perfect stay at home mother and a really high powered, ambitious career or businesswoman and still have enough time to exercise, pour into your marriage, have friends, have a life outside of all that.
Yeah, that's something I've had to learn how to do too, is like I can't do everything for everybody, that I have to kind of declutter stuff, and some things it's just better to pass off and delegate to somebody else because there's just not enough time in the day.
Exactly. Time decluttering is huge.
Yeah. So how much resistance do you kind of face with that with some of your clients?
It kind of depends where they are on their journey. If they just realize they have this problem, I'm going to get a lot of pushback. Oh, hire a VA for my business, but then I won't get as much money. Well, that's a very short term way of thinking. If you hire a VA to do all the social media stuff you hate, and now you can take on 2 more client spots and you love working with the clients, I'm sure your packages are higher than what you're paying the VA. Or if it's someone who's farther along, like they already run a successful micro agency, for example, they're just in that maxed out, I have no more time to trade for money. What do I do now? Like they're actively seeking the solution. How can I get back to enjoying my life again? I feel like I'm a workaholic and I never wanted to be one. Then they are very open to hearing me say, well, can you raise your rates a little bit? Can you hand off 3 more tasks to your team? Is there something you can get rid of on the housekeeping side that you could just keep all the business stuff where it is? Maybe the issues with your family. They're just, yes, please tell me more, anything. Oh, hire out the housekeeping, hire someone to do my groceries for me, delete 10 dozen things on my to-do list and say, I'll get to those next year, not this year, whatever it takes.
So you pretty much need somebody ready and willing to put in the work then, and realize that that they don't know what they're doing.
Yes, or at least have the willingness to try something new. Like you got here because you kept on adding more to your plate and saying this is too important, I have to keep doing it. But at a certain point, if everything's a sacred cow, like I can't cut anything, you won't let me.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I run into the same resistance with some people that, like, if you don't aren't willing to make these sacrifices, I can't really help you. So is your programs kind of tailor made per individual, or is it just kind of set in stone?
Well, I have the 3 or 4 major things I'm going to do with each client, and then those are going to be personalized. So if it's the business delegation and outsourcing, that depends on each client's business, but each client is going to get that list, if that makes sense. Or what is your weekly schedule? What all do you need to fit in? I mean, some people are trying to run influencer businesses on Instagram. Some people are doing a book editing business, tons and tons of editing, one-on-one times with their clients, explaining why they made all the changes. They have very different needs throughout their day, and then their families might be different. Special needs, 1 kid, 4 kids, sending them to school, homeschooling, all that sort of stuff makes for an extremely different personal CEO calendar.
Yeah, I can see how like more of a specialized thing would kind of help each individual client and everything. How some need a little bit more like personalized stuff than another, who's kind of like a self starter and more self sufficient and like will do a little bit more work, and
Yes.
others need kind of a little bit more accountability.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what inspired you to start podcasting of all things?
It was always one of the many choices. When you get started in business, everyone says you need long form content. So YouTube, podcast, or blog. So I started with a blog. I'm a natural writer. I've always loved to write. But eventually I asked my audience, and they're like, we're moms. We multitask. We want our earbuds in, listening to something while we're doing something else around the house. We will not sit down and read a blog article. If we click a YouTube video on our phone on the stroller, it will turn off, go dark, and we won't be able to keep listening. It needs to be earbuds. I'm like, all right, fine. I've got to learn how to do podcasting then.
That's awesome that you kind of just listen to what your niche wanted and listen to what everybody around you wanted to do and just kind of said, oh, I'm going to switch from a blog to podcasting, even though this might be one of my weaknesses.
Yes, and it turns out I still get to keep the writing strength, because I'm going to write out what I want to say in the episode. And then I just need to practice, the more public speaking strength.
Yeah. So you write down like everything, like
Yes.
script it all out.
Yes. It's like I have the conversation in my head as if I'm talking to someone right there. And that is what a podcast needs to be, right? So I didn't know it, but I was running my blog like a podcast transcript. So it's like now it's all come full circle where it's meant to be.
That's crazy. Like I can't sit there and like write it out. It's like for my own personality, it kind of seems like I'm kind of everything scripted, not coming from the heart, man. I've tried that a couple times. I'm like it just doesn't sound the same. Like it's amazing that that's one of your strengths, and it makes it sound better and more efficient and like from the heart.
Yes. Well, the flip side is I cannot just turn on a camera and talk off the cuff. Like I'm in awe of people who can do that.
So, how important has a positive mindset or growth mindset been for you, like along this journey?
Huge. Like that is the number one thing. If you're going to get into business, you have to have the positive mindset. This will work. I can do this. And then the growth mindset of, I broke my website again. I'm going to figure this out. I don't think I'm good at podcasting. I'm going to figure this out. And if it truly does not work, I will find another marketing channel that does. I don't think you can even succeed in any form of business without those two things.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like everything, like I kind of deal with athletes is like changing that mind from the negativity that they have to just like that growth mindset of, hey, we're going to figure this out. We just have to go through the process and keep getting better.
Exactly.
So, what kind of like personal development have you had to go through to get to where you are?
It feels like it's been a ginormous journey. I mean, there's always those little bump points in your life, right? So, like college and the first kid and stuff like that. But business has been another of those ginormous ones because, I mean, first of all, the people who have never started a business don't maybe understand what it's like to say, I'm going to be public in some form. I'm going to put my face or my voice or my writing out there into the world. And I have to be okay with that. And it actually does take a lot of inner courage, as I'm sure you know, with athletes and being visible, like physically visible with all their games. But you will run into plateaus. You're like, I do not know where to go from here. Why isn't this working? And the initial instinct is to turn it back on yourself. It must be my fault. I must not be smart enough. I'm not good enough. I don't have what it takes. I can only play at this level. I can't get to this level. And that's where the self development, like the mindset work, the visualization, all of that comes in. And if you never learn how to do that, you're pretty much going to be capped.
Yeah, that's a great point. So, do you practice visualization?
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, I've read something like once you start visualizing this, like what you want, like you start manifesting everything, and your mind starts to believe it's real. So it gives you permission to actually go get it.
Yes. I mean, I work at very cognitively, I guess, taking in details about clients' lives and coming up with the exact right best schedule. But I find I need to have, you know, 15 to 30 minutes of that visualization. And, you could call it manifesting if you wanted, I guess. But those practices in the day that are all the personal development based, because otherwise I cannot show up for my clients properly.
Awesome. It's takes a lot of self-awareness to understand that you need that to make it through the day, and it makes you a better coach and makes you better for your clients.
Yes, not to mention kids and everything
Yeah.
else.
Yeah, and like for your entire life, I tell people like the hardest part for me as a coach is on the days that I don't feel like showing up, I still have to show up with that body language, confidence, just to pour into everybody, even on the days where you don't feel like it. So you just like you have to find a way, and like even doing wake up and like get up and stretch, move around right before your calls and everything, just to get your energy up.
Yes, whatever it takes. You have to listen to something, got to go to jumping jacks, like get yourself out of that I have no energy frame of mind and into the I have energy to show up and pour into you state.
So, what are some of your short term and long term goals you have for yourself?
Well, short term, one kid is learning how to read. That's very, very short term. And then long term, of course, I've got all kinds of like income metrics I think it would be fun for the business to hit. I want my high schoolers, I want to see them, accepted into their colleges and fully navigated that transition. By the time they do that, I will have teenager number three ready to enter high school and kind of the process begins all over again. There's always something going on.
I can only imagine like what you have going on over there, but it sounds like you run a pretty tight ship and have everything dialed in, ready to go.
Pretty much, yes.
Like I commend you on that because my time management skills are not quite to that level. I just don't think I was blessed with that skill.
Which is why you're doing what you can do.
Yeah. So, what has been the biggest challenge you have faced in your business endeavors?
I think it was 2 years in, I was really, really feeling blocked because in 2020, when I came online, it was the course space. You just need to put out some content. You're going to sell a course. You're going to have an automated funnel. All you have to do is post once a day on whatever your chosen social media platform is, and poof, all the clients, money, influence, whatever is going to appear. Well, that's not the way it worked for me. So, yes, I'm really good at time management. What goes along with that for me is I'm really good at discipline. I was just like, if I keep pushing through it, if I take another course, if I learn another aspect of marketing, if I spend another year on this, surely the results will come. When that was completely the wrong way. I switched to podcasting 2 years into the business, but I had niggling signs probably at least a year prior that I needed to go the podcasting route. I was just so stubborn that I said, well, I was told a blog is acceptable and I'm going to keep doing that instead of pivoting. So that has been kind of the story of some of my biggest plateaus. Of every time it was because I tried to force and to effort my way through instead of saying, yes, but take a step back. Either what does the market need here? What are you personally gifted in here? What do you need to stop doing? And what changes does that need to make to your program or your business model or how you're showing up day to day?
Amazing, amazing advice right there. Like I talked with quite a few people when I got into the started trying to transition into working with people that's what they said. Hey, just build a funnel page, do this, do that, and everybody's gonna come. It's like nobody came. It's like, yeah, this isn't kind of working. And they're just like, be patient, it happens. Like I don't kind of see like if they don't know what you're doing, you're still kind of a secret and you're not very visible, you're really not going to get clients because there's so many people out there trying to fight for attention and like for your market share.
Mhm.
So yeah, I can kind of see where you went wrong, kind of like where I was steered wrong. But like I said, amazing self-awareness to realize, hey, this might be my blind spot. And maybe I don't need to listen to these people and I need to go in this direction instead.
Yes, and I had to have a coach point that out to me. Like when I was at my wit's end, I switched to the podcast. And I'm like, well, that's still not doing anything because that was the only thing I had changed was the podcast. What should I try? Ooh, what about mindset work and the visualizations? Maybe I should try that. And I finally ran across a coach who said, well, honey, you've tried everything you can think of. Isn't it time you tried the one thing you haven't? Getting the personal coach to say, here's where you're stuck. Here are your blind spots. Change this, this, and this. I'm like, okay, I'm at the end of my rope. I guess I will. And in hindsight, I'm like, I wish I had not waited that long, like well over 3 years into the business. Even when I knew that I needed to do that as the second big pivot, of do the self-development part as the CEO, I was just like, well, I don't know, maybe it'll fix itself over time. Yeah, I mean, do you want to wait a couple decades? I'm sure it'll fix itself in a couple decades, but
Yeah, like personal development, like I'm a big John Maxwell guy, and like his thing is like law of the lid. You can only lead and receive like what your lid is at.
mhm.
Like what level of development you're at, you will only receive up to that. So it's always personal development goes into everything and should be like your number one focus at all times.
Yes, I wish people would tell new business owners that. That would have catapulted me a lot farther, a lot sooner. But I'm all in. I'm raising my lid now.
I mean, and that's all that matters, that you recognized everything and you got right on track. I mean, like I recognized watching the podcast that you did, and that's what drew me to you. I'm like, man, she is doing so much like with so much on her plate. I'm like I was amazed, because I hear a lot of people complain, there's not enough time. There's not enough time. I don't have enough time. It's like, and now I'm watching you and hearing what you've done. I'm like, oh my God, she's just crushing all these goals and with everything on her plate. Is like, how are you saying there's not enough time?
Thanks.
I mean, I was like, oh my God. I mean, I probably can learn a few things here from her too, because sometimes my time management skills are not very good and I kind of get pulled in opposite directions of what I need to be doing. So what is one book you would recommend for personal development or mindset?
I think I might actually recommend a money book, because almost everyone seems to have stories about money and the receiving money and stuff like that. And you will find a whole new layer of personal development and blocks to your lid once you start diving into that realm and how much you can earn. There are a whole lot of different books on that. I know, like for women, there's one, I think it's like Badass at Making Money, Jen Sincero and stuff. And there's probably a lot of male authors in that space too, I'm guessing. But if you think you've already done a lot of personal development, like start doing the money route. What are your money stories? What are your money wounds? What are you believing about, receiving more and having to hustle harder for it? That'll kick it to a whole other level.
Great advice. I mean, I still read a lot of stuff on just mindset. I mean, and some of the overcoming stories, they just I've learned that. Something. Yes, I've learned that your story is your superpower. What you've overcome can inspire other people just to step out of their comfort zone and to become the best version of themselves too.
Yes, always share the story.
Yep, that's why I was so anytime I go face anything bad or the darkness in life, I'm like, this is something else for me to share, to pass along wisdom to somebody else.
Yes, and that is something I will tell myself anytime I hit one of those rough patches. Like, no, I'm going to come out on the other end. I'm going to have wisdom. I'm going to help someone else's life. So thanks, God, for getting me through this. I believe in advance you're going to help me, because I will need that wisdom.
Exactly. It's I think all that stems from having faith in God and knowing that He's got you through it, and you're going through it for your own, for one of His purposes,
Yes, if you're like, okay, it happened for a reason, whether it's for me, my kids, somebody else, a client. Okay, I'm good. There's a reason. I'm fine. I know I'll make it.
Awesome. So how can people get a hold of you?
Well, there's a couple ways. There's a website, youronbusylife.com. So that's got links to free coaching sessions, free audits, a time quiz to see how many hours you could get back during the week. My podcast is called The Unbusy Mom. So there are episodes under 10 minutes. So if you're a mom, you're working from home, you will for sure be able to fit in one of those. And then also LinkedIn, Alyssa-Wolf-Unbusy.
Awesome. Alyssa, I want to thank you for your time here today and all the wisdom you shared with us.
Thank you so much for the invite, Ryan. This was a wonderful conversation.
You're welcome. Hey, guys, that'll do it here today. Remember, the only way to get what you want is to go through the fire.